episode 9 entitled Souls. And before I get into the souls, because I actually enjoyed this episode, I thought it was a very good episode. It's your boy Icon, and we're going over some more DC TV. And before I start with the episode, we have to get this one out of the way, and that was the disappointment and the treatment of Bruce Wayne. Because I love Titans. I'm a huge fan of Titans. I'm a DC guy, and again, like I'm not one of those people that just, I don't have a DC bias and I don't just trash DC for the sake of trash. But in the interest of fairness, when certain things don't make sense or when I don't like certain things, I have to point it out. Like, I can't just pretend like everything is golden. And one of the things I did not like in this, the only thing I didn't like in this episode was the fact that after the destruction of Jason Todd, with the Joker killing him, after Bruce Wayne went after the Joker and bashed his skull in with a crowbar, and then Bruce Wayne left Gotham, just like on Batwoman. He left Gotham and went to some random castle in the middle of nowhere where he has another British butler. He was so engulfed in his grief over, I guess, the failure of Jason Todd, or the fact that he got to the point where he killed somebody, and his response to that, to atone for failing Jason and killing the Joker because he broke his code, he broke the Batman code, his penance for that is to kill himself. And that just would never that would never happen. Bruce Wayne, Batman, they've always described him as being so incredibly arrogant. Although he's the one person in the room who does not have superpowers, he's also the scariest person in the room because everybody's afraid of him because of his intelligence and his smart and his gritty, bat-like dark demeanor. And there's also a level of arrogance there to the point where he's so arrogant. And they even said this on Batman Beyond when they had the epilogue episode where they found out that Terry McGinnis was, Bruce Wayne's DNA clone son. He even said, Terry had said to him, he said, "Are you that incredibly arrogant to the point where you think that the world can't exist without a Batman?" And that's how he feels. like Batman truly believes everyone, I don't want to say beneath everyone, but he truly believes that he's on the top of the mountain and everything would be in shambles, even when he joined the Justice League, he was just like, "I'm not a people person, but when you need help," and then he said, "And you will need help, call me," saying that, he's the one, he's the smartest person. It's just he wouldn't kill himself. He would not take his own life because, first of all, it violates the code that he already broke, so why would you then take it further? And he's basically leaving Gotham in the hands of Nightwing and Barbara and whoever, and he would never do that because, again, the way Batman thinks is that nobody can do the job but him. So that actually did piss me off. But anyway, so getting back into the episode. So this episode starts because, remember, in the last episode, Tim got shot. Tim got shot by the Scarecrow, and they took him to the hospital. They were trying to resuscitate him, and we never finished the Crane storyline with the hallucinogens going through the Gotham pipeline, but it takes us to what happened after Tim got shot. Tim wakes up on a train, and apparently he's in purgatory, and he's on a train on his way to the afterlife. While he's on his way to the afterlife, because there's this whole thing where, when you wake up first, obviously you don't know that you're dead yet. And the guy on the train said that we're going to your final destination. And then that's when the guy on the train told him that, you had passed away. And then Tim freaked out and he started running. And now when he was running through the car, he ran past Donna. And Donna was on the train. And I was just kind of like, well, shit, Donna died last season. What's she still doing on the train? And, and the thing with that is, they said that there are a lot of people who, get cold feet and don't want to go to their final destination. There are a lot of people that jump off the train. But for Donna specifically, I feel like the reason why she was still on the train and why she hasn't reached her final, the reason why she hasn't reached her final destination is because there's still a possibility that her soul can be saved and she can be resurrected and brought back to life. The same thing with Tim. Tim was on his way to his final destination, but his body is currently in the hospital trying to be rebuilt and trying to be repaired, by the hospital physicians. So there is a chance where Tim could survive, or there's a chance that he could flatline. If Tim chooses to go to his final destination, then he'll flatline in the hospital. But if he decides to stay and fight, that's why he's on the train, because like there's a possibility where he could still wake up. So he ends up freaking out. He starts running. Donna sees him. She gets up and she goes after him. She's talking to him, and then she tells him, she's like, like you're in purgatory, like you died. Then obviously Tim starts freaking out because he's just like, no, I can't be dead because I got things to do, and my family and my dad just got shot and blah blah blah. And then he's just like, I'm not staying here. And then he freaks out and he jumps off the train. Donna jumps off the train to follow him. She jumps off the train, and then even then, like, that was funny because when he decided, he was like, I'm gonna jump off this train. When he opened the door and jumped, Donna was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, it ain't like he gonna die. Like, he's already dead. So he jumped off the train, and she jumped off the train and followed him. So she ran up on him in the woods, and then she tried to talk him down. She was like, what are you doing? And then he called her ma'am, and then she got mad when he called her ma'am. And then, he told her, he was just like, listen, he was like, I can't stay here. He was like, I can't accept this as like, like being the end for me. He was like, I got to get out of here. I got to try to find a way to leave. And then there were this group of, we'll just call them lost souls, that fly around trying to get the people who aren't on the train, because again, like, there are multiple people, like Tim's not the first person who jumped off the train, so and I guess like when those people jump off the train, their soul is up for grabs and anybody can get it. So these ghouls and everything, like, they start flying out of nowhere, to try to capture Tim's soul and Donna's soul, because the two of them had jumped off the train. So they ended up like fighting the ghosts or whatever, and then just before like the ghosts sucked up their soul for all eternity, a car shows up, tells them to get in. They get in the car, and when we look at the driver, it's Hank. And that was cool because it's nice to see the actor back on the show. And that also means I was wrong, because I'm the one that said Hank wasn't dead, and that, and that Rachel used her power to take Hank out of the way before the explosion happened. Apparently I was wrong about that, and Hank's actually dead. So, then Donna sees him, and she's just like, she's like, thanks for the save, but, and then he's just like, yeah, that fucker, Jason Todd, like, he blew me up. And then he tells her the story about Jason, and then he's just like, what are you doing here? And then she was like, well, I was helping this kid out. And then, he takes him, and then Hank ends up taking both of them back to this mansion, because I guess he takes over, like, the afterlife version of Wayne Manor. There's another British butler that's there, and Hank's talking to Donna, and then he's just like, and then she asked him, she was just like, why are you here? How come you haven't gone to, like your afterlife yet? And then he told her, he was just like, basically, he was like, he said, I'm here helping people, trying to protect people, because there are a lot of lost souls. And then he told her, he said, do you honestly think like you're the first person who jumped off the train? He's like, there are a lot of people that jumped off the train, and those people need help. And he's there to provide them with the help that they need. But then but then he said to her, he was just like, then she was just like, well, like, I'm trying to find out what's next for me. I was just here to help the kid. And then he was like, bullshit, because Hank was like, I'm trying to find a way to get back. And then Donna was like, oh, there's no going back. And he's like, how there's no going back? We don't know how the rules work. How the rules work here. And then he told her that he even found a way. He heard from somebody that there was a path that you can use to get back to the afterlife. And I mean, but you could use to get back to normal life. And that's where they kind of lost me, because I understand, because eventually what ended up happening was Donna said she didn't want to go, because she said that, first of all, she was pissed because she said that I died at a fucking carnival, and then she said that was like the worst way of all time to go out. And then she said that her death was stupid, and she decided that she didn't want to go back, and she just wanted to move forward to see what the afterlife has in store for her. Hank's whole thing was, he was like, yo, Jason, killed me. I want to get my revenge, and I want to bust him. I want to put my foot up his ass. Tim's whole thing was, like, he said that he wanted to be a hero. He let them know that he knew she was Wonder Girl. He knew that he was Hawk. He said that I was following the whole Titans. I was talking to Nightwing. I was talking to Starfire. He was like, I was actually in conversation with the Titans. He said, all I wanted to do was be a hero. And I got shot in the back. And he's like, and not only did I got shot, he said, not only did I get shot in the back, I got shot in the back while I was running. And Tim was like, yo, I died a coward. He was like, I died a coward. He was like, it's not, he's like, nah, it's not going down like that. He was like, I got to fix that. So if Hank says there's a way that we can resurrect ourselves and go back, he was like, yo, I'm going to take it and I'm going to go back. But here's where I have the problem with that. It makes perfect sense why Donna can go back, because her body is lying in Themyscira, and they're performing rituals to try to resuscitate her and bring her back to life anyway. So Donna's gone, but she still has like a body to return to. Tim is on an operating table in a hospital. Hank's body got blown up. So I'm like, bro, if you go back, what are you going back to? Like there is pieces of you scattered like all across like there's nothing for Hank to return to. So that didn't make sense to me because I was like, there's no way hell Hank can go back because like a new body for him is just not gonna like materialize out of nowhere. But anyway, so the three of them decided to go look for the bridge. They go look for the bridge. They find the upside down tree. They find the bridge. They're on the bridge. The ghosts show up. They're fighting the ghosts. They're fighting the ghouls. And then Hank had told them that he realized like while they're in the afterlife, there's this thing where like if you concentrate hard enough and think hard enough about something that you want, whatever you think about will appear. So for him, he thought about 2 guns. He got 2 guns. He was trying to get weapons. He got like, Robin's like R-stars. He ended up getting a baseball bat. Donna ended up getting a sword. Tim was on the floor cowering in fear as always. So that whole speech about him dying a coward basically meant nothing because he's still on the floor like a coward. And they're all fighting the ghosts, fighting the ghouls so they can get themselves back to, back to the land of the living. The bridge that they were on started to break. And it split into 3 pieces where Hank got pushed off to the left by the entrance. Donna got pushed off to where the path was, to go back to the land of the living. And Tim was stuck in the middle. So Hank told Tim to jump. Tim did the worst jump of all time. And I'm just like, dude, there was like no velocity. There was no power. You didn't even jump forward. It's like you basically just jumped straight up in the air. And then Donna materialized her magic lasso. She lassoed him and she pulled him over. I don't know why she didn't use the lasso to pull Hank over, but Hank just told them like, oh, go without me, tell Dawn I love her, whatever. And then, Hank thought about a baseball bat. He materialized a baseball bat, and then he used the baseball bat to beat the living crap out of the ghouls. And this is where I actually, I'm happy for Hank because when Hank beat up all the ghouls and he left, like the cave because the bridge was broken, then he was trying to figure out, he was like, well, Donna and Tim made it, so now I got to see what's next for good old Hank Hall. And then his brother showed up from season 1. And that got me because knowing how he felt about his brother, knowing how his brother died, when his brother showed up and he was just like, hey, Hank, and the two of them had their conversation, I legit felt some kind of way about that. And so I guess we are legitimately losing the Hank character. Like Hawk is officially gone. But I'm happy for his character because they gave him the way he died was messed up, but they always say when you die, you get to see your loved ones in heaven. And that's exactly what he got. He got to see his loved ones again. He got to see his brother. So I'm extremely happy for Hank in that regard. And like him and Donnie, the original Hawk and Dove, or Dove and Hawk, are together, and they're now going to go and help the people, help the lost souls that are trapped, in purgatory. So kudos to them for that, for Hawk. Tim and Donna, they made it to the end. And then, because the entire thing was in black and white. Like when we were talking about the afterlife, the entire afterlife was in black and white to let us know, the fans, the audience, that they're in purgatory. Once Donna and Tim made it back to the land of the living, then the color kicked back in, and then like a light started shining, and then then Tim was calling Donna Miss Troy, and then she was like, first you calling me ma'am, now you calling me Miss Troy. She's like, yo, how old do you think I legitimately am? And then he was like, I don't know, old, like 30s, and I was like, wow, dude. I was like, that's what you think, but but then he just thanked her. He was like, thank you for for bringing me here, thank you for believing in me. And then after that, then he started hearing like this weird beeping sound, because again, he's on the operating table and he's about to wake up. So then he was just like, do you hear that? And then she was like, no. Then all of a sudden it took us to the hospital. Tim's eyes lit up like he woke up on the operating table, and somebody said, he's back. We got him back. So now Tim's back, and like he's gonna, once his wounds have healed, he's gonna probably try to rejoin the Titans fight. Now, per the rules of the afterlife, because anytime anytime you hear on the news or you see something where somebody has like a near-death experience, or someone's heart stops, and then because when your heart stops, you're actually dead, but then your heart gets restarted again, and then you're back you're back among the land of the living. Nobody remembers what happened when their heart stopped. Like it's not like you come back and then you're just like, oh my god, I was in a magical place where there were trees. And it's like, no, you don't remember none of that. So Tim and Donna should not remember each other after the two of them wake up. And here's the kicker, because when Donna woke up, she immediately went to go save Bruce, whose dumbass tried to, and this is another thing. I'm just like, yo, you're freaking Batman. And the best that you can do for your own demise is to light the house that you're in on fire. that was your big exit strat. And I'm just like, well, first of all, I was never a fan of the Bruce Wayne character from the beginning. I like the guy on Batwoman. The guy that they hired to play Bruce Wayne on Batwoman, I like him. But this dude, like I said before, this dude to me never even looked like someone who goes outside at night and fights crime for a living. So I was never on board with that. But like I said, but then what they're doing with him is like, they're making him too emotional. Like Batman's not supposed to be so emotional. Like he told Tim, he was like, you don't have to be Robin to be my son. It's like Batman wouldn't say that. They're making this guy like way too emotional. He's trying to take his own life. And then Donna shows up and then she dropped out of the sky, because I saw like a little vortex portal. She dropped out of the sky and then she saved Bruce. And then Bruce was like, am I dead? And then she was like, no. And then he was like, but you're dead. And she was like, no. She was like, I'm back, baby. And we don't know why Donna saved Bruce and how did Donna even know to save Bruce? How did Donna know that Bruce was in trouble? Like, that's the part that I don't understand, and that's the part that's weird to me. But I guess we'll figure that out in probably not the next episode, because in the next episode we're gonna revisit the Crane situation with the fear toxin and the water and everything. But then I just hope at some point Donna explains how she knew to save Bruce when the last thing she remembers, she was at a carnival and then she wakes up on a gold flatbed in Themyscira. Rachel's back. Rachel's back after not being in the show for 8 episodes straight. Rachel has returned. The Raven has returned, nevermore. And she's at the mascara, and she's with all the other, Themyscirians, all the Greek warrior women, and they're doing a ritual to try to bring Donna's soul back to life. And Rachel so far, and the actress who plays Rachel, you can tell like she did a complete transformation. She looks way thinner. She looks a little taller. She looks older, and she looks like she's in shape. Like she looks like, because there was a scene where she was training with one of the girls from Themyscira. So to actually see Rachel like do training, her physical look, like you can legitimately buy like, wow, she's been at Themyscira for months actually training with the Amazons, because she looked really good. So they got her dressed up like in all white and everything. And while they're doing the ritual, because they said that, there's a chance that they could bring Donna back. But they said that there was a ritual that needs to be done, and the ritual requires patience. And Rachel does not have the patience to do that. Her powers, she keeps trying to use her powers to try to bring Donna back to life. Because remember in season 1, she brought that dead deer back to life. So she's trying to like do that. And the Themyscirians, they're getting upset because they're just like, oh, like you're dishonoring the rules. And then she was just like, well, your rules are stupid. And then they're just like, oh, these are the sacred ways. And what you're doing is tampering with the process. And then she was like, you don't even know that. She said, you don't even know if this is going to work or not. She said, for all you know, what I'm doing could probably be helping the situation. And then like the elder woman, she was just like, oh, child, come here. She put her in a room and showed her a bunch of rocks and everything. And then she said that these rocks represent building a soul. So she destroyed the rocks. And then she said, I want you to rebuild these rocks one by one by one until you rebuild it to the way it was. She's trying to rebuild it. And then every time she rebuilds it, it falls apart. She puts it together, it falls apart. And then it got to the point where she did it so much to where she accepted the fact that she was just like, this is your way of trying to tell me Donna's really gone, and no matter how hard I try, I can't put her soul back together and I can't save her. And then the woman was like, yes, child. And he was like, that is the lessons, that we tried to teach. And then that's when Rachel was like, you know what? Message loud and clear. I hear what you're saying. Screw it. I'm leaving. And then, she went to her room, she started packing her bags. And then after she started packing her bags, she heard like this noise or this commotion, or she felt something, like she definitely felt something. She went back into the chamber where Donna's body was. And when she got back to the chamber, Donna's body was gone, because that's when she left to go save Bruce. So now Rachel's like, yo, it worked. So we'll see what happens there. As I said, that was it. And thank you for tuning in. So now this group is getting very large. This group is getting big because, we basically traded Hawk and Dove now for Donna and Rachel. And, Tim's still in the mix. Like, Tim's obviously going to replace Red Hood. But, there's a lot of people here now. And Donna should be on her way to Gotham with Bruce. Rachel should be on her way to Gotham, to go find Donna and to team up with the Titans. And now that we have a whole large group of people here, there should be no reason on this planet why Jonathan Crane is allowed to exist as a villain. The moment Donna, Bruce, and Rachel return, along with Starfire, along with Superboy and Nightwing, it should not be that hard to take down Jonathan Crane. They should be more focused on trying to cure the fear, like the no fear toxin, then they should be taking down Crane, because Crane can't stop you at this point. Like you have some of the most superpowered beings on the planet. Like Crane should not be an issue. So I expect Crane to be locked up in Arkham by the end of the episode, episode 10, and there'll probably be like some new threat that comes in, with, like I said, with them just trying to take down the people of Gotham City, who are as dosed with the non-fear toxin, and they're trying to kill each other or doing like wild and crazy things. So we'll see what happens, but share your thoughts down below. Like, let me know what you thought about this particular episode. Souls, let me know what you thought about Hank's exit, his official exit from the show. Will Hank come back? Maybe not. We shall see. Like I said, leave your questions, comments, and concerns, and we shall talk about it. Always on YouTube. Hit me up, with your questions. I'll answer them as best as I can. Hit me up on Twitter if you want. Hit me up on Instagram. Definitely I'm always there. I'm always posting pictures and everything for all the superhero goodness. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, because we're doing Stargirl, we're doing Supergirl, we're doing Titans, we're doing that Doom Patrol, which is back, baby. Marvel's What If as well, as we wait for the new season of superhero TV for the fall. So thanks for tuning in, guys. So for Titans and for Souls, protect your soul and take care, because I'm out this